Do you find it difficult to come up with content ideas for your podcast? Or perhaps you've gotten stuck during an interview with a guest where you just have nothing to ask anymore? Try Poddex today. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from podcast ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions, for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards and pick one at random. Hit the record button and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment, all with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C. Once again, poddex.com and use code C4C. Hi, I am Raphael Harry. I am the host of White Label American Podcast, and this is my participation in the C4 Challenge with the Content Creators of Color Collective. I am going to be answering 5 questions from amazing content creators and sometimes everyday people who inspire me or are just relatable in one way or the other. So enjoy, and I hope you get to learn something about me, and also check out the people who asked me questions. Thank you. Welcome to day 16 of the C4 Challenge. Today, I have the honor of reading questions from a good friend of the family and of the podcast. The very first person to interview me on my podcast, which you can find on episode 14. That seems like centuries ago because that was in 2020. And 2020 was one year that just felt like 5 years put in one. But yeah, today I'll be reading questions from Julienne B. Ryan. Jules, as we like to call her, she's a speaker, she's a storyteller, she's a trainer, she's a facilitator, she's a coach. You can find her at jryanpartners.com or you email her at jryanpartners.com. So let's dive into the questions. Question number 1. What inspires you? I think people. I think the love of my life. My daughter. Yeah. Question number 2. What would you change in the world, in your world, if you could? Well, this is a 2-in-1 question. In the world, inequality. There should be a true fair system. I'm tired of seeing people being okay with, somebody doesn't want you to vote. Trying to make laws to make it difficult for people to vote. Oh yeah, that's fine. You don't want anyone with a different sexual orientation to exist. That's fine because you're okay. So no, I would change all that. We should be, if equality should exist, then let it exist. It should be for everybody, not just for only people with a certain religion, not for only just men or people of a certain skin color. In my world, more subscribers and paying subscribers. Give me that money and support me because podcasting is expensive and I need to get more people on my team. But I don't like people working for me for free. I like to pay my team and I like to pay people working for me and pay them a living wage so they can do what they need to do and not have worries. Question number 3. Which interview made an impact on your life or really resonated? I feel this is a question I keep getting in different formats. Every interview has made an impact on my life, one way or the other. Even the one that I never published publicly, but is behind the paywall. However, talking to Gajinder Singh, who lived through World War II, pre-colonial India before independence, and he talks about going to an independence rally. It's similar to the civil rights struggle here. There's some similarities with when he lists what he talks about. And if you've talked to Gajinder in person, you'll get what I'm talking about. Every LGBT person has been on my podcast. It's hard not for the episodes to impact your life. And the very first LGBT person on my podcast, but she happens to be of a strong Christian faith. And I'm like, almost every Christian I know wants you dead or loves persecuting you. And it was amazing that, she's still a believer, a firm believer in the faith, where her fellow believers don't even want her to exist or have any rights. So there have been other people, and my wife has been on the podcast, and it's just beautiful hearing her story. One of my most recent episodes with Martin Kalau, the first official stateless citizen that I've had on the podcast, although someone else that I've had in the past was stateless, or she was close to stateless. Everybody's story has impacted me because I learned what I never knew. So that's why people say I know a lot. They think that I know a lot, but I don't. Because every time I have a guest and they share their story, I just interviewed somebody who took me back 1,400 years. His family, he could trace his family history back 1,400 years, and he's giving you the history of that part of the world. It's amazing when you're getting all that. That's an upcoming episode. And 1,400, 1,600 years, you are just sitting there like, wow. That when I was preparing for this episode, I did not expect that I'll be getting the history going that far back. So yeah, it's hard for me to just say one episode was the most impactful. Every episode has impacted me and has taught me. My home girl in Sweden, she's gone back to Sweden from an Iraqi family that migrated to Sweden. Israel Sahili, she's a fantastic actor. I mean, all the stuff she taught me about Hollywood, the acting industry, the movie industry. People say, I want to come to America. I knew somebody who was, back in Nigeria, and he doesn't talk to me today because I think he got mad with me just because he expected that when he told me that he's a young kid. He wants to come here and act. And I didn't even think he was telling me the right thing, but the stuff that Ezra told me on her episode of her struggles trying to break into Hollywood, the visa issues, this young man would have gone through the same problems. He would have suffered the same issues. He didn't want to hear that from me when I tried to let him know, like, look, it's not like I don't support you, but there are obstacles on the way, and you have to be aware of these obstacles. So if Ezra had not shared that, I wouldn't have been aware, and I would have been like one of these people would have said, oh yeah, come, you can make it, it's easy. And then you come, and then you start being frustrated, and you start hating the system, you hate yourself, you hate everybody that told you to come. And then if people didn't give you the right advice, and who knows what would have happened tomorrow. So I don't want something bad happening to people. So I'm glad for the awareness. I'm glad for people sharing their stories on the podcast. Are you a podcaster who does not have a website? You do not know where to begin. You are afraid. You are worried. Well, worry not. Podpage is here for you to start your website. All you need is go to podpage.com, and in less than 5 minutes, you have a website running. There's amazing colors, great templates to guide you. And if you want to go Podpage Pro, hey, all you need to do is hit the c4challenge.com website and check out the code there, C4C, and get your discount and begin. Podpage.com. That's for you. Question number 4. Is there a mantra or an expression that you hold dear to your heart? Yes, there is. It's always in the small details. I don't know how I got it or where I got it from, if I read it in a book, but I know one day I just started saying that it's always in the smaller details, and I can always look back to my life at different points in time, and I can see where certain things happened, and I was like, oh yeah. If I was like, I always tended to look at the big picture, like it had to be the big thing, achieve the big, build the big house, aim for the big. But most times it's like when I was in the Navy, we did fire drill, and there was always this poster at the squadrons that a tiny screw could bring down an F-15. That was the plane that we flew in our squadrons. The squadrons that I was servicing then, as a supply guy, I supported the squadrons with the F-15 jets. I know now most of them don't have F-15. But you're looking at the big jet. It's huge. But what can be the downfall? You're thinking, will the enemy shoot a missile at it? Is it the missile, and all, firepower and all this and all that? But a tiny screw that's not in the right place can be its downfall. That's all it takes. So it's always in the small details. It's the small details. Someone makes a presentation to me. It can be as shiny, it can be as sweet as they come, but that little detail, do I pay attention to it? My alarm bell might start going off, my spider senses. And once I look into that detail, that little tiny thing, just a little tiny thing, and that's all it takes. And as far as I listen to my intuition, it's never wrong. So yeah, that's what I live by now. It's always in the small details. Question number 5, and the final question. What is one thing you wish others will learn from you? This is similar to question number 4. So I'll just say one thing I wish people will learn from me. I believe in telling my story, and I believe you should believe in telling your story and focus on that. Don't be about trying to capture everybody or telling your story for everybody. Not everybody will like you. Not everybody is meant to like you. Do what you want to do for you. So if you're going to take anything from me, take from me that people have a right to exist. People should be allowed to exist. Give people their rights. Equal rights matter. Take that from me and stop hiding behind critical race theory. Stop hiding behind whatever dog whistles and all this little scary stuff people try to throw out there today. Like, they're trying to make my kid feel bad. Black kids black kids don't have feelings. Brown kids don't have feelings. People who were victims of genocide don't have feelings. So yeah, take that from me and do better. We should all do better. Thank you for the questions. Make sure you check out Jules. Jules is everywhere now. She's also an author, so she has a new book that she wrote recently. Oh yeah, I have the book here. The Land, It in Queens, Communications Playbook, Winning Against Digital Distraction. And I'll have that in the show notes in case you couldn't catch my accent. All right, thank you. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out the C4 Challenge. There are other fantastic creators like myself included. And for more of my content, go to www.whitelabelamerican.com. And if you want to get bonus content, join us on Patreon, where there's loads and loads and loads of content, including questions from my Patreons. up there. Please, we welcome your support. We have merch. You're not only supporting me, you're supporting Black-owned businesses. And I also give back to fellow content creators of color too, and from minority groups. I am Raphael Harry, host of White Label American Podcast. Thank you for the privilege of your company.